What's up? We are back
After a while.
after a sick break.
And
It wasn't a sick break, it was like a sick
sick
break. So today we're going to start a new category on coupling, and this one is called BTSS Recommend. So we're going to recommend stuff
and things.
And
Shows.
Just general stuff that y'all should give a try.
Yep.
And today, for the first BTSS Recommend, we're going to talk about
what
shows.
we've been doing for the last 2 weeks.
So the last 2 weeks, while we were sick, all we did was watch TV.
Netflix, Hotstar.
So it just makes sense that we recommend shows that people should watch.
So these are just not shows that we've been watching the last 2 weeks, but like our
It's like an
all-time
overall
favorite.
thing,
Yeah. So you ready, Rebel?
Yes.
So should we start with number one?
I mean, generally people start with number one.
So number one has to be Game of Thrones. I mean, there's just no option.
And I feel so included now in this Game of Thrones chat. Because I've got, you know, like I got. It took me 2 weeks and 63 episodes, and I am up to date and kind of a pro now. So much so that I've been taking online quizzes about Game of Thrones.
And what character you are? What character are you?
Jon Snow.
Not. So why would you recommend the show?
I would recommend it for a lot of reasons. I mean, it's the biggest show in the world right now.
It's true.
And for
I think it's biggest show so far ever. Like I don't think there's ever been a show that's as
for
big
good
as
reasons, because the production is amazing, the costumes,
characters.
The actors, and there's
and
so many.
Oh my god moments.
Yeah, I was gonna say aha moments or like oh moments. So there's so many of them in the show. Yeah,
and for me, I guess I watched it again with you, and it was still as shocking. Like it wasn't a.
You didn't find it boring.
Even though I knew what was going to happen, I was like, oh my god, and I was almost tempted to tell you, but I didn't want to tell you.
Good, you didn't tell.
So
yeah, I mean, just the narrative of the show is so engaging.
So now you know why everybody was telling you to watch Game of Thrones.
I mean, even if you know, those fabulous locations and costumes and all of that was not there, just the story and the narrative is so amazing, and it's been acted so well. So yeah, it has to be the biggest show on the planet right now. Okay, the next show that we recommend is called Narcos, and Narcos is my all-time favorite show. Even after watching Game of Thrones, I still love the first 2 seasons of Narcos. Primarily because of one guy, Wagner Moura, who played Pablo Escobar. And just the guy, I mean, what he's done with the character. Can I talk? Just what he's done with the character and how amazingly he's brought something to life is crazy.
And I think just the insight into his life, into Escobar's life,
real person
it was
who lived like
crazy.
This.
And like they've made his home into a hotel now.
Yeah, I read about that.
And that's because of the show, because it's become so popular now. And like I just feel like everything is really interesting. And normally I don't watch shows with subtitles as much because I don't like.
Nobody does. I mean, because it's a lot of work.
But here you don't even need it. It's just like you feel like.
I mean, you just look at the actors. I mean, the actors are doing so much inside and outside that you don't realize that you're actually, you know, watching a show which is not in English. So, hands down, the best show ever. So,
the next show is one of the shows that I've loved, which is How to Get Away with Murder. And I think that's the first show that you kind of binge watched. Like, you're not much of a binge watcher before that.
I wasn't, but with this show, I experienced binge watching.
And Viola Davis is amazing. I mean, like...
Yeah, she's brilliant.
It is one of the shows, I think... This was the first one we watched before Narcos and everything, and I think this was the first one we were kind of like hooked onto and really got you going like, oh my god, okay.
Yeah, because I mean the story is so different now. It's like there's like murders happening, and you have lawyers who are actually working to get away with, you know, murder. And
it's all very real. Like at no point does it seem like.
It's very slick. I mean, the way it's been edited also, it's very,
the way it goes back and forth.
Yeah, very cool show. So the next show that we recommend is called Westworld.
What over you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, we had to fight over this one.
Yeah, I didn't really
but
think
I
it deserved to be here.
No, it does. It definitely does. Westworld is on Hotstar, and this show is actually such a weird mix of a Western and artificial intelligence. It's just amazing how they brought it together, and it has got Anthony Hopkins, who's one of my
But it
favorite
does have
actors.
some dull moments.
It's no,
drops in between.
it's slow. They
Yeah.
kept the pace a little slower because otherwise you won't understand it. Because there's so much going on and so much you have to connect yourself as a viewer that if they were to speed it up, I think it'll just go.
Maybe, yeah. Actually, it took me a few episodes to even figure out
Get
what was
into it,
going
no?
on,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
to even understand what
Yeah.
was actually happening. So
But Anthony Hopkins is brilliant.
yeah, but
As
yeah,
always.
it was a nice show.
It's a brilliant show. Please watch it.
Then we have House of Cards, which is I think a favorite for both of us.
Yes, it is, and for one main reason, which
Kevin
is Kevin
Spacey.
Spacey.
And I particularly like the way, I don't know what it's called, but I know you told me that actors do this, the way he talks into camera and talks,
Oh yeah,
like,
so
flips the
yeah, he breaks the
whatever.
fourth wall. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, he breaks the fourth wall and talks directly
Straight to you
to
in the middle
camera.
of the
Yeah,
scene,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it really feels like he's talking to
Yeah.
you. It's not like, it just almost seems like he stopped acting and he's having this conversation with me.
Yeah, but that's the idea.
Yeah, but it's so
behind the
believable. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
but
that's what I mean,
because
like,
he's a brilliant actor, and also the show is so interesting to watch the negative side of
Yeah.
the
The
you know
whole
the US
presidential
president and all, and
yeah.
what I mean. At some point, you do question whether
Is it
this
really like-
yeah, and I'm sure some of it is actually
yeah,
quite
of
real.
course, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and it's like they're so twisted, their characters.
Yeah,
it just makes it
generally
like,
when we talk about the US president and all of that, it's so like positive
Yeah.
and so like save the world
Yeah.
and world power and all of that. But then you actually see these little struggles that they go as human beings, which is very twisted to watch.
and just I think his rise, like the way he climbed up the
Yeah,
ladder
yeah,
was so
yeah,
interesting.
so twisted.
And now his wife Claire is like,
Yeah.
okay, we shouldn't say more.
All right, so the next show is called 13
Oh,
Reasons
another
Why.
twisted one.
This one is really twisted.
Just messes with your
Yeah,
mind. It's
yeah.
like,
Yeah, I remember we saw this show, and for the next 2 days, I was just so
Yeah.
upset. Like you don't know
It's
why you're
just-
upset, but it just
and
the-
I think this is for you the first time you stayed up till 4 in the morning watching a show. I have to say that because Webber doesn't really stay up watching
yeah,
shows.
yeah.
But
It was
like,
so engaging.
we just wanted to finish it because it
Yeah.
was so engaging.
Yeah, and also it's just so like I don't know. It really disturbs you.
Yeah, it
Doesn't
plays
it
with
dis-
your mind.
It disturbs you.
I mean, there have been actual cases of like people committing suicide after watching this show. It's that twisted.
Really?
Yeah, and I mean, so it's really like it messes with your mind.
Yeah, and also just the music and the imagery
Everything,
that's
yeah.
been used in the show. It's really twisted and disturbing.
dark.
So you need to be
You need to watch it as a show. Like,
yeah,
you need to know you're watching
yeah.
a show.
and you need to know that like it's gonna mess with your
Yeah.
head. So if you don't want something to
Yeah.
mess with your head, don't watch it. But watch
Watch
it
it, but-
because it's
yeah.
a good show.
Then we have The Crown, which is a personal favorite for me.
Yeah,
I mean,
because it's about her auntie.
of course, Apri Rani.
Yeah, your auntie's there. It's her
And-
auntie's life story.
I
so
mean, we are all obsessed with the royal family.
in the Parsis.
The Parsis,
Yes.
and this gives you like an insight into Queen Elizabeth and
what auntie did, how she
the
lived.
Duke of Edinburgh, and like
uncle,
it just uncle.
How was uncle?
So it just, I don't know. For me, it was really real. Like it seemed like the real story, even though I know some of it is obviously fictional, but it did seem like it was the two of them, right? Like I mean, when you watched it.
I mean, for me, what stood out in the show was the costumes.
Yeah.
They're brilliantly done, and also the sets. Or
Yeah.
I don't know if they shot. They couldn't
Couldn't
have
have
shot
shot in
on
the palace, no.
location. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. You should ask your auntie whether she
And
let
call
them.
her.
Yeah,
Give her a
call her.
call. Find out.
So, but a very good show in terms of just getting an insight into. Again, we were so voyeuristic. We want to know what goes
Yeah.
on behind
And there's
the
this-
media, image of people, like what the Queen is or how the US
And I think
president
with the
is and all
Duke, they
that.
showed this whole side of him which people hadn't really seen.
Yeah,
Like
we don't know nothing about him.
Also, for us, I guess we've always seen them as old people. So this is like when they were younger. So we've not really seen this side of either of them.
Yeah, most of us.
People, yeah. But I mean, that's what I mean.
We're not that young, also, you know. Now.
We're young.
Yeah. So watch Sherry's auntie's show. It's called The Crown. Alright, the next show is one of the most slickest shows on TV. It's called Suits.
Yeah, where
Yes,
everyone has a
Suits.
fantastic walk. And Harvey. So
it's not a walk, it's a strut. Everyone is just strutting.
So
you
like,
strut to the loo, you strut to the conference room, you strut on to the Fifth Avenue to get some get a coffee or get a hot dog. So there's a lot of strutting, but in between the strutting, there's a lot of cool and slick drama.
And hotness. I mean, Harvey Specter is like...
He's alright.
He's hot.
Oh my god, he's hot.
Say it.
Yeah, he's hot. My personal favorite thing to do is to just look at the ties that they wear. They wear some beautiful ties
and
on the
suits,
show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean suits. Obviously, it has to be suits. Otherwise, the show will be called ties.
Wow.
That's my joke of the video.
Then the only comedy that made it to our list is One Day at a Time.
That too also for one reason. For one reason,
Yeah.
that's Rita Moreno.
The grandma. She's just amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I think the whole show is just her.
Yeah, she's the funniest, and she's so cute in the show.
Also, have you noticed that like everything is moving from comedy, it's becoming more serious. Like
There's a
look
lot
at
of
the shows,
drama.
yeah,
There's
fantasy, drama. Like now, in all the shows being made,
Yeah.
like growing up, it was all about comedy. Like
Yeah.
TV was full of comedy. Now it's like
I mean there are but also
like this is the only kind of TV comedy.
No, but
that
also
we like.
I think there's a shift in terms of instead of sitcoms. Now we have stand-up comedians who are coming up with shows.
So,
so you have a lot of stand-up comedians on Netflix.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorites is.
Are you adding to the list without approval? No.
Is Chris D'Elia. Please watch Chris D'Elia. He's got 2 shows on Netflix.
He's not on the list. This is unofficial.
He's absolutely funny and hilarious. So
this
sarcastic.
This is an unofficial entry.
Don't
watch
what I
it.
like.
It's an unofficial entry. We have not discussed this.
Chris D'Elia.
So coming back to the actual show we were talking about, One Day at a Time.
It's a sweet family drama.
It's a sweet family sitcom, like what you would watch on TV, like a TV dinner kind of show. And but she's fab and she's really funny.
She's the only reason why I actually watched it.
Yeah, it's a lot like Grace and Frankie, which is also good. I didn't let me put that on the list.
But
since
not on the list.
I'm
going
to add my own.
No, not on the list.
If you're looking for something funny and
not on the list.
Nice, Grace and Frankie.
Not on the list. And the last show that we would like to recommend is called Vikings.
Ragnar.
Now, Vikings is like a distant cousin to Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I saw Vikings first.
Now you see the similarities because I used to tell you that it's a lot like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, so there's a lot of fantasy drama and
war.
But, I mean, the basic premise is the same of both the shows actually.
Yeah.
Why is it so nice? I think it's a lot more raw.
Yeah.
I feel,
it is a lot more raw, and also there's just Ragnar who's the main character. I mean, like Game of Thrones has a zillion characters, so there's no real clear lead.
But like here it's his story.
Really the main guy.
It's his story, yeah. But and just how they've depicted all the wars and all of that, I find that really cool.
And there's some really fierce women, like which you don't really see a lot.
Fierce. Let's go with fierce.
Why? What would you go with?
Fierce. Alright, so that was our first ever VTSS recommend, and those are 10 shows that everyone must watch.
Like you have to watch all 10. So if you like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up.
And also give us suggestions as to what we should recommend, and it could be anything.
Yep.
And that's it. This is the video, and we shall see you next Wednesday.
Bye.